This is the ultimate roadmap for full stack development in 2024. If you want to be a full stack developer and you're wondering where you should start, and you're even wondering where you should go from if you've already started, this video is going to take you from where you should start to where you should end, and everything you need to learn in order to become a full stack developer. So the first thing you need to learn in order to be a full stack developer is the foundational skills. And the foundational skills include HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you don't really know what these three are, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the backbone of the web. Every website you've ever used in your life, every website you've ever come across uses at least HTML. And if you see any website that looks good, that has actually colors and stuff like that, that is CSS used. And when you see any website that is dynamic, that when you click a button, something is triggered after clicking the button, know that there's some JavaScript going on there. So as a full stack developer, you have to start from these foundational skills. After these foundational skills, you have to get into front-end development. I didn't want to categorize that under front-end development because, as I said, they are the foundation. You can't do without it. So once you get those foundational skills, you go to front-end development and learn a framework or a library. The library I'm going to recommend here is React.js, or you can even use Vue.js. So React.js is a library created by Facebook that helps you build UI-based components. If you don't want to learn React.js, you can always learn something like Vue.js or Angular.js. But I strongly recommend you learn React.js because it's currently the most popular in the industry and it's not slowing down anytime soon. After you learn React.js, you can learn a CSS framework like Tailwind CSS. And after learning this, you have to learn front-end build tools like Webpack, like NPM or Yarn. So these are the three things you need to learn in order to become a front-end developer. And the next thing to be a full-stack developer, you have to learn back-end development. So for back-end development, there is a diverse amount of options because to be a back-end developer, you have to know how to code using a programming language. And in order to use a programming language, you have to first of all learn programming. So depending on which programming language you learn, just learn the framework of that programming language that allows you to build server-side applications. And nowadays, most programming languages have their framework that allows you to do so. If you go with Java, you can use Spring Boot. If you go with Python, you can use Django. And if you go with Node.js, you can use Express.js. And I highly recommend, if you're just starting out, to go with Node.js because getting from the front-end development side where you use JavaScript a lot and transitioning to the back-end development side with Node.js just allows you to continue using JavaScript as your backend language. So this is good for beginners, but when you want to take things to the next level, you can always learn other programming languages. So the next thing in backend development that you need to learn is database management. In order to learn this, you have to be proficient in things like SQL and NoSQL. And there are a lot of SQL databases and NoSQL databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, just to name a few. So you have to get proficient in all that. And finally, as a backend developer, you have to know REST APIs. You have to learn how to create an API, how to consume an API, and how to display the data gotten from the API in your front end. So all this is what you need to know as a backend developer. And being a full stack developer doesn't only end there. There are additional things you need to learn like authentication and authorization. This is when a user wants to sign in into a website or sign up into a website and a unique user token or a JWT token is being generated so that the user can have unique access to their data in the database. Without authentication and authorization, there will be a lot of confusion when it comes to signing in and signing out. There will be no security and it's just going to be a whole mess. So these are advanced topics you need to learn as a full stack developer. You also have serverless development, that is building full stack apps using cloud services. And there are a lot of cloud services nowadays. You have AWS, you have Azure, you have GCP, that is Google Cloud Platforms. So as a full stack developer, you have to know how to use, if not one or two of these tools, but you have to know about these and you have to try to familiarize yourself with these. I know for now you're telling yourself that this is a lot, but before we move to the next, I want to tell you that as a full stack developer, it's really not that much when you already get yourself into the flow and you just spend your time building and implementing projects. So after learning what I just mentioned before, you have to get into more of DevOps and deployment. So you have to learn things like version control. And version control system that is very popular today includes Git. And a very popular website that allows you to interact with the Git platform is GitHub. You also have GitLab. So this is something very important. Whether you're a front-end development, full stack or back-end, you have to know how to use Git. Other very interesting things as a full stack developer that would be good for you to know, but it's not all that important. You have containerizations, You have CI or CD pipelines. You have to also be familiar with cloud services, as I mentioned before. And finally, the most foundational skill as a full stack developer is to be well versed with problem solving. So you should know how to write algorithms, and you should know certain data structures that are going to help you to implement these algorithms efficiently. So this is a comprehensive roadmap that is designed to be flexible, and you can start from any side. You can even start from backend development, start from front-end development, then end up in database. It doesn't really matter. You can start with which one you find yourself more comfortable with, or you think you might want to start with. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that at the end of the day, you should get the necessary skills in order to be a full stack developer and ultimately build projects, get hired, and earn some money. So save this video for a record. Always come back to this video if you lost track of the roadmap. Follow for more, and see you in the next one.